Radio in high fidelity.
Hello, my name is Lefty Dillender. I have 3 subjects that I want to provide the public explanation for that are not actually out in the media or anywhere because they're all new ideas. The first one, I believe there's a psychology epidemic in the United States minimally, if not the whole planet. I want to also discuss drug use and how it affects our thoughts with each drug that we take. And the third thing is I want to talk about how I believe I can successfully bridge imaginal psychology with modern day psychology.
Hang on a second, Lefty. Time out. Yeah, I have to switch this because the sound is not really as high of a volume as I'd like it to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch players, which I don't like to do, but at this point,
I hear a song in the background.
Yeah, that's right. It's supposed to be playing, but we're going to switch out the players because it doesn't play very good. Yeah, let's try that. There we go. Should be a little bit louder.
Diving deep into the soul, bringing home, we can believe that we no longer need diving deep into the soul, bringing home, so we can believe that no longer need diving deep into the storm, bringing love, so we can release that which we no longer need diving deep into the storm, bringing love, so we can release that which we no longer need diving deep into the storm, bringing love, so we can release that which we no longer need diving deep into the storm, bringing love, so we can release that which we no longer need. Diving deep into the forest, bringing love, so we can release that we no longer need.
Aloha. Good evening. This is Andrew. Aloha live out of Flagstaff, Arizona. Spiritual Image Productions on BlogTalkRadio and Free Conference Call and YouTube. Establishing and maintaining right relationships and human values. Aloha and welcome to tonight's show, Andrew Aloha Live. Tonight we're going to be talking with Lefty Dillender about his book, Dinosaurs Don't Need Mirrors in Space. Diamonds and Bullets. Just to let you know, aloha, Lefty, how are you?
I'm doing good tonight. Took the day off from work.
Okay, we're going to talk to Lefty here in a few minutes. Just to let you know, Dinosaurs Don't Need Mirrors in Space by Lefty R. Dillender is about the spiritual psychology of mental illness and the drugs that are involved, illegal and illegal, and natural and poisonous. Brain damage at the age of 2 years old has caused Lefty to not know how to think. Dillender had eye surgery a few weeks ago, at the time of this inscription, and no longer has hallucinations. He lived 34 years with a rare eye disease that everyone thought was everyone thought he was mentally ill because of this. Though all he needed was an eye surgery. For more on Lefty's Dillender's book and him, you can go to www.digitalenvironmentalcommunication.com. And we're going to come back and talk to Lefty here in a couple of minutes. First of all, I do want to give an aloha to all of our underwriters that help make the show happen from week to week, month to month, year to year, beginning with the 90-Day Ascension Journey at www.90dayascensionjourney.com. When you sign up for the 90-Day Ascension Journey, you will be facilitated with defining and redefining your soul true life purpose. You will be assisted with finding out what Ascension means to you. On this journey, you will be provided with tools, techniques, and assistance to empower you to connect and reconnect with yourself, your emotions and feelings, and your mind, body, and spirit. Through a universal soul-centered process, you will be going through a lifelong transformation that will allow you to move forward with your endeavors and never look back if you dare. And again, if you if you guys are interested, I wrote the book version of this about almost 2 years ago, to help supplement this journey. And you can go check it out for yourself. And right now you can actually get the book for 99 cents. And if you really are interested and you need more answers or want more answers, then get a hold of me and we'll get you on the mentoring program, which is 12 weeks long, and we'll go from there. So anyhow, we also have a Novite, ANOVITE, which is a French word, at www.spiritualimageproductions.anovite.com with over 25,000 and hang on a second, time out. Okay, time in. With over 25,000 scientific papers published on colostrum, a 90-day guarantee, and winner of the Healthy Living People's Choice Award twice over. Novate focuses on helping people with weight loss, anti-aging, heart disease, diabetes, depression, high blood pressure, asthma, allergies, rheumatoid arthritis, inflammation, gout, lupus, fibromyalgia, Crohn's disease, cancer, ulcers, the polio virus, chronic infections, digestive disorders, Alzheimer's disease, autoimmune disease, thymus gland, mental clarity, maintenance and protection of the immune system, synthesis and repair of the RNA and DNA, and much, much more. And just to let you guys know, I just ordered some more of this stuff. The colostrum, I don't know if you can see it, colostrum 6. And so I've been taking it for at least a year, I think, or close to a year. And I've noticed it's I was diagnosed with diabetes a few years ago, and I've been dealing with bouts of neuropathy, and so it seems to be helping with that. And I also have fungus, toe fungus from that, and so it's been helping with that. So I'm convinced right now that it's actually much more helpful than not. So I'll order some more, and we'll see what happens from there. So anyhow, finally, we do have Maha Dikini Lore, who I believe next week, or this coming week, on Tuesday or Wednesday, she'll be in New York. For those of you that are in New York and are interested in getting a session with her, Maha Dikini Lore's life has been a personal journey exploring sexuality and spirituality for over 20 yeyears. She's a certified tantric counselor and tantric healer and a certified mind sound teacher. Maha Dikini Lore is also a graduate of Margot Anand's year-long Sky Dancing Tantra Facilitator Training Program, as well as a current member of the American Association of Sex Educators, Counselor and Therapist Club, and a charter member of the Association of Sexual Energy Professionals. She regularly attends trainings and conferences to keep current with the latest research and information on sexual education. And yeah, we're back now with Lefty. Now, Lefty, where in the heck do you live at now?
I live in Nebraska.
Nebraska? I thought you lived like in I don't know, Chicago or something. I don't know why, but Nebraska. Is it snowing out there?
Yeah, last night I got about 6 inches.
Oh yeah, yeah. We got what, about 4 inches almost a week ago, and that's the most we had since last year, since that January, February or something like that. So it's pretty profound. We got any rain or snow this year for the winter, and so I'm just wondering what the rest is going to be like. So I guess we'll find out. So Lefty, if you could just kind of give us an overview, give us a bio of who Lefty is, where you grew up at, what you did when you were growing up, and so forth. Whatever you want to start.
I was born in Colorado Springs. At age 5, I moved to Nebraska, and I get backing up. When I was 2, I cracked my skull open on a concrete stair, and that pretty much causes me not to make long-term memory very well. I can't remember conversations and past events that I've had. Most people talk about conversations they've had in past events, but I don't remember them, so I find it hard to conversate with normal, well, which is almost anybody, pretty much, I guess.
Got it.
At age 7, I firecracker in a Roman candle, and it didn't go off, so I stuck my eye down there, and it blew up near my left eye, so I had to wear an eye patch, and it changed my eye dominance from my left eye to my right eye. And that's actually caused a lot of problems because I believe there's a psychological difference of subconscious behavior between left eye dominant people and right eye dominant people. After that, I started going to school. I mean, I was in school. I was a straight A student. I was able to not study and get all good grades. When I was about 14, I told my mom I was tired of being good, so I started doing drugs at about that age. In my lifespan, I've been flipped drugs 7 times in my life, like hallucinogens. And if you get caught doing that, that's considered attempted manslaughter. And I figure that's a way that flipping somebody hallucinogens hurts their soul. So I've had a big spiritual journey trying to get away from the rudeness of being flipped those drugs. It didn't help that I also had that natural eye disease that I was born with that caused hallucinations that got worse when I hit puberty. The drugs didn't make it any better. I stopped doing drugs at about age 20. But at that point, I was already stuck in the mental health field because they decided that I was schizophrenic and bipolar. I tried telling them that I was just thinking, and I kept trying to say weird things about stuff, but I didn't realize what I was trying to say at the time, which I'll get to that later on. And then last year, I started realizing and found out that I had that rare eye disease called dissociative vertical defect. That pretty much means my eyes don't work together. They didn't work in unison. So I got that eye surgery. I'm no longer hallucinating, but since I hallucinated for pretty much 34 years of my life, everything has a memory associated with it that reminds me of a hallucination I've had in the past. So I would consider that I'm very spiritual, but what I've realized is most of the hallucinations I've had really don't mean much to me anymore. I have everything organized. If I didn't have 2 kids with my ex-wife, I probably wouldn't be alive today. So God bless her heart for having 2 kids. But that relationship strained too because she thought I was crazy like everybody else did.
Got it. So that's very interesting to note that the experiences that you've gone through are pretty intense, I think is a good word. So let's take a step back first, Lefty. You grew up where, in Colorado or somewhere else?
I moved to Nebraska at age 5. I grew up in Omaha area, and then when my mom got remarried, we moved into the Grand Island area in Nebraska.
Got it. And when you do you have brothers and sisters?
I have 1 biological sister and 3 stepbrothers.
Got it. And when you guys all grew up together or not?
Me and my stepdad's son and my sister did. The other 2 stepbrothers were with my dad.
Got it.
His wife.
And now, did you guys get along okay? Or were you guys constantly in battle with each other?
I don't talk to either one of them. My sister has some what I would call spiritual problems and cannot relax. And my stepbrother doesn't like to talk to people. I mean, we hung out when we were kids and we were doing drugs together.
Oh, got it. So you guys did experience the hallucinogens together. Now, when you were growing up, did you have any paranormal experiences? Did you have any visitations from aliens or saints or angels or ghosts or anything like that?
Ghosts all the time. Like, I literally felt like I was living as Pac-Man.
Oh, really? So you and were they?
I ghost every day. The way I think of it is a hallucination is nothing but a ghost.
Okay. Again, they could be one or the other or the same. I hear you. So when you were at what age did you experience your first ghost sighting or whatever?
Let me try to remember. I would say 7. Like when I was 7 years old, before I switched eye dominant, I remember seeing a vision of the rose that grew from concrete. But the memory didn't last long, and I wasn't able to refer to it till recently because I had forgotten about it.
Okay, so it wasn't a being. It was some kind of a item or some kind of thing that you experienced. Is that what I hear you saying?
Yeah.
Okay, and then after that, what was it like when you were talking to these ghosts or experiencing these ghosts?
Well, after I switched eye dominance, I really was like clouded. I looked down to the ground when I walked all the time. I didn't really know how to socialize. I would almost feel that my senses were decentralized and I wasn't able to even recognize that I had senses for years until I had started doing hallucinogens. Okay,
so let's take a step back again. And how do you? Okay, so these ghosts that you experienced, did they talk to you? Did you talk to them? How was that experience with it?
They showed me material objects, and they pertained them to behavior of mine.
Oh, so they associated them with behaviors that you did or had at the time. Is that what I hear you saying?
Repeat yourself, sorry.
They associated those items with behavior that was going on with you at the time. Is that what I hear you saying?
Yes. And I almost want to say that sometimes it was other people's souls that were reaching out to me.
Oh, interesting. Okay, and that's what I want to know. So there is a differentiation. There's a variable of sentience or beings that you were dealing with, and not just a ghost, but you're talking about souls, possible angels. Are we talking about too?
Oh, I don't know if I've ever seen an angel. I've had a lot of trauma in my life, and I think that maybe I was meant to walk in the darkness to try to bring light into it.
Okay, and that's a very good perception, and that's a very positive perception that I hear you saying, and that's good that you would note that of yourself, that you're not just somebody that's having these things going on, and you're not feeling sorry for yourself. You don't want people to feel sorry for you. So you're taking the bull by the horns and assessing this whole experience as something that you have to understand or know or learn for yourself. So that's very inspiring, I believe is a good word. So now let me ask you this: how do you know that these beings were ghosts? How do you know that these beings were souls or otherwise?
I could feel them.
Okay, so you didn't actually see them; you actually felt them. Is that what I hear you saying?
I felt them through. Hold on, how do I say this? I was able to see and feel them. Like it's almost like if I can, like I see my doorknob that's like 5 foot away, but I can feel that I'm seeing my doorknob too.
Okay.
It's situations like that where the ghost or the entity would come through me, like behind my eyes, and would sit down inside my head and would show me different paths of spiritual righteousness through psychology.
Oh, interesting. Because I've actually had that happen before, believe it or not. I've had saints, Maharaji, and I believe Amachi, the hugging saint, and I also believe Sai Baba. All have been in my bodies, and literally they were looking through my eyes and seeing what that which was around me. Maharaji, I was at at a gathering, one of his gatherings, and he came into my body, sat down in my body, literally and I can't say that he literally controlled me completely. I was just willing and able, and so he sat down in my body, and literally I could feel him looking through my eyes, and he was looking around, looking at everything that I was seeing, he was seeing, and vice versa. And so he was looking at his devotees, at the singing going on, and everything else, and it was pretty profound. It was a very profound experience. It lasted about 15-20 minutes, and that was the last that I had an experience of him after that. So I hear what you're saying, and I understand completely 100% what you're talking about.
One thing I forgot to mention is when I turned 16, I started practicing closed-eyed meditation. I did that for 18 years until I recently reached nirvana. And we'll get to that later, but I believe that I found a way to give everybody nirvana by them reading some information instead of them having to go on the meditation journey themselves. Well, I mean, you can still meditate. I'm not trying to, you can't meditate, but we all know that meditation is a spiritual journey where you're trying to find that highest state of spiritual reaching. I think I have found that, and I wrote it down so that people don't have to maybe stress out so much about it, so that when they go meditate again, they know where the highest point is, and they can use that to recertify themselves in their current situation.
Exactly. And I believe it's safe to say that when I had this experience with Maharaji, that I was experiencing nirvana, as you call it, bliss, as others may call it, and so forth. So it was very profound. So now let me okay. So you're experiencing ghosts, and they're showing you things, and are other beings, I guess, spirit beings. I think maybe is a better word to use or phrase. But so these beings, they were showing you things, and were they friends of yours that had already passed on, or family, or did you know these beings at all?
No, I've never experienced anybody dying in my life. I'll be 35 on the 26th, and I've never had anybody die that I really felt bad about.
Or connected
So
to?
I couldn't say that they were or weren't. I don't know.
Got it. Interesting. So these were beings that you didn't know. They were just showing up, and they were teaching you all these things. Is that what I hear you saying?
I think what was going on is it was people that were around me that were alive, and it was their trapped spirit trying to reach out to me to help me understand how to free the person's soul that was talking to me.
Now that's interesting, because I've experienced that as well. I was living with a girlfriend out in California, and it was really weird because and I've done that before. I've talked to ghosts, and they were trapped, and I've coaxed them into going back into the light, and eventually they did. But in this particular setting with the girlfriend, we were both sleeping. We had just both woke up, and it was profound because we both had the exact same dream, and it was bewildering. And in this dream, all of a sudden, all these beings were released. They were trapped on Earth, and and we're talking about thousands of beings that were trapped on Earth as spirits, as ghosts. And I don't know what we did, or that we did anything at all other than to witness this event that took place. This was several years ago, and all of a sudden, all these beings, all these ghosts were released, and they were going back into the spirit world. Is what I assume was going on. So literally, these thousands and thousands of beings were just all, and you could see we could both see them just going into the sky, and just going back home, I think is a good word. And it was really profound because both of us experienced the exact same dream, and then we started talking about it, and it was pretty. So that both of us would experience that whole event. So it's pretty cool. But anyhow, so you experience these beings, and you don't know who, and now do you feel like because of their connection with you, they were released from being trapped? Is that what I hear you saying?
I feel that backing up a little bit to explain, I feel like I'm asleep right now. Since I practice closed-eyed meditation, it's like I live my life with my eyes closed. But with that explanation, I feel that their spirits are reaching out to me to actually physically write something down, like an analogy or a metaphor or a simile, and tell that person so that they could maybe understand what they were trying to find. Now, whether that's the truth or not, I haven't really researched much about. Did you actually want to know that? Was that pertaining to what your thought process was at the time?
So now, when you experienced this being, and you went through the process of whatever was going on, did that being come back to you again ever thereafter?
Usually, what would happen is I would get one glimpse of what it was trying to say, and then I would get ahead of myself, and instead of studying it for a while, I would start writing stuff down, and then like a week later, it would have the full elaboration was on to what they meant, and by that time, I had already told the person what I was meant to tell them, and it got into a repetitive pattern of constantly changing my mind, which has taught me to just like. I have a 7-day theory. Like, if I'm going to think of something new like that, then I'll wait 7 days before I tell anybody, so I make sure I get the full message.
I hear you. So now, let me ask you this, Lefty. If you hadn't done meditation and some of these practices that have kept you in line, kept you focused, kept you abreast of life, if you even want to say it that way, do you think you'd even be alive right now from that? You think you'd be crazier
alive?
Or crazy or something?
What do you define as alive?
Like literally deceased?
Alive?
You're
Probably not.
okay.
Spiritually alive, I would have never reached nirvana, which I'll get to my definition of what nirvana looks like physically later.
Well, no, let's do it right now. What does that mean to you right now? So you won't forget it.
I wrote a poem about this.
Okay.
And I will read my poem.
Okay.
This is actually what the state of nirvana looks like in this picture in word form.
Now, for those of you that are watching this on YouTube, I have a copy, and I know it's on the video anyhow. But this is what the book looks like. This is the back of it, and on the back he writes an inscription. I hate to say it, but it's kind of hard to read it because the words blend into the background. So we'll do that next time or something. But go ahead, Lefty, whenever you want to.
Fun.
Did you want me to read it, or you have it there?
No. I have a copy. I'm not reading part of the book right now. I reached nirvana recently. I wasn't able to get that in my book, and I will go upload and re-put I'll put that on the back part of it so that that's on there. I haven't got around to it yet.
Okay.
But the poem that I wrote is a description of nirvana. It's called The Rose Cup. Because of sexual energy, my girlfriend's menstrual cycle reminds me of a rose. As she stresses out her toes, you can see the rebooting look on her face. I know she doesn't like this place. She was used to all her hormones. Now they are all getting flushed out with the rose. For the next 40 years, she will have to face the fears of having an unbalanced hormone system 7 days a month.
And that describes to you nirvana? Is that what I hear you saying?
The reason I say that, after I reached that, I was like, blood. Like, blood is the essence of our life, and the rose represents blood, like our heart, and all that stuff. So, it's kind of like a poem that I read called "The Rose That Grew from Concrete." Talked about that, but I kind of went deeper into explanation, and I found this about the menstrual cycle, or I could have said heart. But ever since I noticed this, I haven't been being bothered by ghosts.
Oh, really? Interesting. So, and how long ago is this that we're talking about?
Go ahead, say that again.
How long ago has this stopped of the ghosts bothering you?
Whole story. Actually, let me rescind what I just said. When I wrote this poem on the 8th of January
of this year.
The first week and a half, I was kind of stuck in this rose cup. It's like everything around me had red to it, and the energy, at least that I felt, was all red. And then I started thinking that the meditation state was kind of like a reptile or a dinosaur, which is why the book's called Dinosaurs Don't Need Mirrors in Space. I had actually had the idea that I was green from the waist down because of meditation, but I got lost in some blackness because I didn't know about the rose cup. So I was stuck with the poem that I wrote for about a week or so. It was really, really heavy of energy. I felt like my soul was being rejuvenated with new energy, like I was just born or something. And then I went back to the reason I titled that book, Dinosaurs Don't Need Mirrors in Space. So now I fully understand the meditation stage is almost like dinosaurs. And so now, if I go meditate, I know what's up and I know what's down type of thing. My heart's on the top, the meditation's on the bottom. So now when I go meditate, I can just clear my head so I can empty my thoughts. And I don't have worries about do I go up or do I go down? I can go forward.
Oh, interesting. So now, so you're saying that the menstruation, not just the cycle, but the menstruation itself was instrumental in clearing you, clearing your energies so that you can be in the state of nirvana. Is that what I hear you saying?
Yes.
Interesting. Now, I can relate to that because several years ago, I don't remember her name, but I want to say Starseed. But anyhow, I was watching a YouTube video, and this woman out of Canada she was doing a red tent retreat for women only, and so she was showing. She's like this priestess, and I'm assuming she's still a priestess. So anyhow, she went to the beach, to the ocean, and she said you can do it in the forest, and all kinds of. But she did a whole ceremony around menstruation, and so she took this menstruation from her body, and then she made a hole in the ground, and then she poured it into the hole, and then covered it. And when she did that, I was blown away because I could literally feel the energies from all that, the energies from the earth, and the energies of around that whole transaction, that whole process. And I was just blown away. I didn't expect that. And so I said, man, I need to interview this woman. So I did. I got a hold of her, and in fact I've interviewed her twice over, and since then, and both interviews are just amazing, just pretty profound. So anyhow, I guess maybe you and I are making a discovery. I don't know how scientific it is, but it's a discovery. I think that's one of the reasons men need to have women around, because that menstruation is a very powerful clearer of energies, not only for women but for men too. And so we don't have that capability because, of course, we don't menstruate. But that's besides the point. But maybe that's something that we need to consider as our commitment to being whole on this planet, as a humanity, and not just as a spirit or a soul. So I think that's a discovery.
We need to consider teaching this in sex education class. If you're going to teach kids about sex in 6th grade or 9th grade, you need to be able to take a little bit of spirituality with the menstrual cycle so they don't get lost in the darkness.
Right, exactly. And so maybe that's another point about in terms of people being gay. I don't know that there's anything wrong with that, but do they share this menstruation with each other? Women might share it with another woman, but they don't have the balancing energy of the masculine that allows them to be balanced for themselves because they're a woman. So I don't know that there's a whole lot of stuff around that, if you ask me.
I've had some theories about why people are homosexual, and I'm not against them or nothing. I've had friends. I think maybe that they're just a female born with a male brain, because the female
right.
brain is wired. I think it's an actual biological birth defect, so to say, that they can't help it because their brain was wired opposite of what it was supposed to be.
Exactly, I hear you. So let me look at this real quick, Lefty. I think maybe now is a good time to take a break. Let's take a break, and I'm going to play some music. Hang on a second. Let me find some music here now. And this will be a good place to take a break and just kind of go over some of the stuff that we want to talk about afterwards. But let me see. Now I interviewed this guy by the name of Dr. Stephen Schwartz, I believe last week for the Golden Age Music Show, or the week before. And so anyhow, this is not a regular CD album. This is actually music that's designed to help balance emotions and feelings for people in various manners. The one that I want to play right now, they're called zones. The one that I want to play right now, it's called Depression versus Inner Peace. And I want to send out love, blessings, healings, angels of light, and love to everyone out there, that especially all those people that are having a hard time, whether they're homeless or they're in hospitals or whatever. And also to you and your friends, and to all these other people's family and friends, and to your family and friends, Lefty, and to yourself, and to myself and all my family and friends, to all our vehicles and places of residence, to the President of the United States. Oh my God, that guy. I think maybe things are getting better for him, but I don't think it's over for him yet. But anyhow, to the President of the United States, all his entourage, to all the kids and the animals and the plants on the planet, especially the ones that need concern. Anybody you want to add to that, Lefty?
Pretty much the 7.2 billion human beings and all the animal species on this planet. Well, slowly dying off in mass extinction because we don't know how to sustain the environment.
Exactly. Okay, good point. So to all the angels and to all the fairies and the gnomes and all the aliens that are supporting us, to everyone else in need and concern, we will be back. Depression versus Inner Peace by Dr. Stephen Schwartz from his album Cellular Attunement is the name of the album. So again, we will be back. I think. Okay, here we go.
I wrote that.
And we're back. This is Andrew live out of Flagstaff, Arizona with Spiritual Image Productions on Blog Talk Radio and Free Conference Call and YouTube. Excuse me, establishing and maintaining right relationships through human value. Tonight we're talking to Lefty Dillender, Lefty R. Dillender, about his book Dinosaurs Don't Need Mirrors in Space. He grew up in he grew up in Nebraska and had a number of challenges that caused a number of mental situations, and a lot of it was in part to eye problem. Now, what was that eye problem that you had that was causing people to think that you were mentally unstable, Lefty?
My eyes did not, like, if you were to put on a pair of those glasses that have slinkies on them,
yeah,
my eyes kind of moved around like that.
Oh,
most of the time.
Got it.
Like if I were to follow my finger with both my eyes, most of the time my left eye wouldn't even move. It would just stay there like a camera stuck in the corner.
Oh wow. So they weren't in. Go ahead.
It caused me to actually look at life like I had macular degeneration in my left eye, but I didn't. So I was like, I had a blind spot that caused a shadowing effect over my face.
Got it. Wow. Wow. So they were never in sync with each other when you were looking around. Is that what I hear you saying?
Yeah, exactly. That's what was going on.
Got it. Got it. So you went to college or you didn't, Lefty?
I'm in college right now. I'll have my associate's degree in December, and I want to get my PhD in imaginal psychology.
Wow, interesting. So that I applaud you, and I'm very proud of you and your efforts, Lefty. That you're paving a way for other people that have never experienced your path before. I think that it's safe to say that, because I'm sure that there's other people that have similar or same situation going on with you that you have. And so you're paving a way for these people, and I think that's a mountain that you're climbing, and I think it's commendable and worthwhile honoring.
I think everybody on Earth should take this journey, since most people won't meditate.
right, isn't that the truth? And so you think that because of this situation, first of all, you went to hallucinogens, to drugs, for answers, and you didn't find them there, I'm assuming, and then you went to meditation and spiritual practices. Is that what I hear you saying?
I don't think it's true. I don't think that I didn't find answers. I might have found answers that pertained because I did the drugs, but I don't think they were needed.
Got it. So you didn't find the answers you were looking for. Is that what I hear you saying?
No, not really. I mean, I would have rather just dealt with learning about the roads that go concrete and like not worrying about anything else. That would have been nice.
Right. So you went to meditation, and you started doing meditation when? After the hallucinogens or before? During, yeah. Well, I guess during. And so how old were you when you started the meditation? Did you do other practices too?
16 is when I started meditating. That was the only spiritual practice I was aware of. It's the only spiritual practice I practiced. I did that for years. So I feel that once you reach nirvana, there's no more spiritual guessing with what spirits are about. It just becomes this matter of when you reach meditation through, or when you reach enlightenment through meditation, it's like rebooting your brain like a computer.
Well, I hate to say this to you, Lefty, but there's more beyond that, believe it or not. And whether and once you get to a certain level of nirvana, what happens is you start to stay permanently in that meditative state. And it's not that you stop learning.
I may have worded myself wrong, so you go ahead and continue.
No, and I'm not saying that you're wrong necessarily. I'm just saying, in my experience with what I've already dealt with, and I've experienced very similar stuff that you have, which is interesting. But what happens is that you go on, you become enlightened to the level of enlightenment at the first stage, what I would call the first stage, first level, and then you move on beyond that. You become enlightened at not only at the local level, but you become enlightened at the planetary level, and then the galactic level, and then the solar system level, and then the logo level, the avatar level, and then eventually you become one with, you experience being one with the Godhead, Goddess head, and that's even like more profound. Then you start experiencing and feeling everything throughout the universe, and you know everything that's throughout the universe. As if you were to talk to Sai Baba, who's the only one that I know of that is as enlightened as he is at the universal level, then you go beyond that, and then we're talking about other universes that you start to experience and so forth. So it's an ongoing process, and that very few people, in fact, I don't know anybody else other than Sai Baba that's enlightened at the universal level other than him. But it's we're talking about hundreds, thousands of lifetimes, and even beyond. So it's a whole process, developmental process, but which people most don't really understand or know. But it really is.
I have two things to say. I feel that I'm enlightened all the time. Like
Exactly.
when I'm walking around, I think I'm constantly in an enlightened. And then there's some times where I'll be asleep and I'll be dreaming, and I'll literally reach enlightenment like I was practicing closed-eye meditation, and my body will feel like really, really weird energies that are almost intoxifying. And then I'll wake up and it's weird because like I thought that you only reach enlightenment through meditating, but like the other day I was dreaming and I felt like I was like I had a beam of light rushing through my body, but I was asleep. And I woke up, and I hate to say it this way, but I was a little high, and I was just dreaming. And I don't know.
Right.
I've always heard that meditating was like meditation can cause slight hallucinations.
Well, if it's something that you experience that's incredibly awesome, then who cares what it is? I'm all for it. Why not? Right? So that's what I think.
Now, referring to those other things you were saying about the different levels, like I've never even been presented with an opportunity to practice that. I mean, I live in Nebraska. This state is very conservative, and they don't really have the viewpoints of bigger cities. So I'm kind of I'm shallowed out into an area where there's not a lot of viewpoints on different things.
And it doesn't matter. You are where you're at, and so what? That's where you're at. And that's where you're supposed to be, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But there are other. There's more. There's a lot more to it than just the meditation. And you're right, than just the meditation. And meditation, incidentally, is listening to God, Goddess. Prayer is talking to God, Goddess. And believe you me, I hear what you're saying. Even in your dream state, you experience enlightenment. Absolutely. That's why if you've ever been to a saint, an individual who's much more along the path than we are, then you begin to understand and know why they do what they do and what they do. And like Sai Baba, he would never go to sleep. He never slept, ever. And all he ate and drank was a glass of goat's milk a day, and that's it. And the only reason that he would go into his quarters is because nobody would sleep, and then people would go crazy because they can't handle that, right? So he would go to his quarters.
I mean, your feet start slowing down after a while.
Yeah, and most people's bodies can't handle the non-stop being awake all the time, and he was awake all the time, and he never ever slept. No, again, the only reason he went to his quarters so people would sleep. So it's like that, and when you would go watch him. How many people? Now, let me ask you this, Lefty. How many people do you know on this planet right now that could have a birthday party or any kind of party that would have literally 2 or 3 million people physically there for the party? Who do you know that can do that or would do that? No one. No one. No one. Not even the most famous celebrity out there. No one could do that and can do that. So it literally every year until he passed away. I think he passed away in 2008, if I remember right. So anyhow, he would have a birthday party every year in November, and with 2-3 million people there every time. So anyhow, it was like that, and he never ever left the country. He never left India. He was in India, and except once or twice. I think he went to Africa once, and the Brazil once, or something. I can't remember where. But that's the only time he ever left his country, that country, and that was it. So, but this guy was he was considered Christ conscious at the universal level. If you talk to Jesus, who's assumably living in Spain, or I take it back, Italy right now, as Jesus Sananda, he's Christ conscious, probably at the solar system level, is my guess. And there are other people that are Christ conscious at various different levels, but again, Sai Baba was Christ conscious at the universal level, and I don't know anybody that has ever lived on this planet or ever existed other than God Goddess that was Christ conscious at the universal level. Period. So it's like that. Again, meditation eventually it comes to a sense. Again, meditation is listening to God Goddess. Eventually you'll be in a meditative, and maybe you're already there. I don't know, but you'll be in a meditative state 24/7, and even in your dream state, you'll still be in a meditative state, and which will allow you.
It took until about 8 years ago when I hit that stage. I realized I can't see my ears and eyes unless I look in the mirror, of course. So when I felt that I was actually trying to sleep at the time, and I was looking, I don't know what was going on, but it describes in my book when I was doing I smoked some mushrooms, which is a hallucinogen, with my friend, and he came after it. Like, I started having a bad trip, and I was freaking out, and he came after me with a knife, and he threatened to cut my ears off.
Wow.
So we argued for a while, and then I ended up going home, and I just kind of stayed by myself the rest of the night. And then, like, almost more than a decade later, I was just thinking about it again. Why would he come after me with a knife threatening to cut my ears off? And then I realized I can't see my ears unless I look in the mirror. And then I told my daughter about that, and she's like, well, I can't see my eyes either. So it seems like when I was able to, like, pull myself out of the mirror, I could focus on reality as well as focus on who am I. I have the differential stage of, like, those two stages where it's like I can see myself if I look in the mirror, but if I don't, then I can't, and I can focus on reality, and if I need to look at myself, I can focus on myself. Does that make sense?
So what I hear you saying is that dinosaurs don't need mirrors in space. Is that referring to you being the dinosaur? Is that what I hear you saying?
It refers to, see, and this is where I'm conflicted. I haven't done any research. Like, I have green eyes. Dinosaurs are green. Most of the plants are green. So I feel, mainly because I have green eyes, that on a spiritual level, I'm a dinosaur. But then you've got blue eyes, which blue is the color of the sky, it's the color of water. You've got brown eyes, which are the color of, like, trees. And then you've got gray eyes, which are, like, the only thing I can think of is, like, the color of rabbit or maybe energy or something. So I have this thought that maybe on a spiritual conscious level of our spirit's personality, it has to do with what color are our eyes.
Oh, interesting. So what I hear you saying, that the color is what you're referencing in terms of dinosaurs, where blue would be sky people and brown would be tree people, and then white would be rabbit people. Is that what I hear you saying?
I don't know. It's like, well, you got to remember, like, the ocean's blue too, so, like, the blue-eyed people get, like, top and bottom. Like, they get the sky and they get the water.
Oh, the water. Interesting. Okay.
So, like, when I said earlier that I'm green from the waist down, that might only be because my eyes are green. So if your eyes are brown, you're brown from the waist down. Or if your eyes are blue, you're blue from the waist down type of thing.
Oh, got it.
Kind of sitting in the lotus position to meditate.
So what does a dinosaur represent to you? What does that mean to you?
Well, I know that we used to have dinosaurs on the planet. I'm not sure if humans were around at that time. Science shows that they're not. Dinosaurs, to me, represent old age because they've been around for way longer than we have.
So you're saying that you're saying that you're an old soul. Is that what I hear you saying?
I feel my soul's like 200 years old, and I'm just analyzing and recording our dreams.
I say this, Lefty. No offense, nothing personal, but if you're an old soul, you're much more than 250 years old. You're probably 2,000 or 3,000 years old.
No, I said
as a soul.
200 million.
Oh, 200 million. Okay, I hear you. Okay. I thought 250 years old. That's not very old at all. But 250 million. That is an old soul. That's actually that's much more than an old soul. It's an ancient soul, if you ask me. But that's besides the point.
I feel that I'm the 2 million-year-old man that lives in our dreams.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And with the stuff that you've gone through and the results that you've gotten and the accomplishment and development that you've done over the years, I think it's safe to say that you would have to have been at least an old soul in order for you to do what you're doing now and get to where you're at now, because otherwise you'd be dead. You're right. You're absolutely correct. You would be dead.
I get about it. Like, I get a lot of crap for talking about this stuff. Like, people just think that, like, I'm somewhere else and that I'm not in reality, and it's like, no, like, I can't. Soul. Like, your soul is not there because you can't see your soul. And to psychology, the soul is the most ignored thing on planet Earth. And my plan is to get people to notice that your aura is your soul is your aura, and we breathe the energy around us every given moment that we breathe. So inevitably, we are breathing our soul all the time.
Okay. And I'm not sure that I agree that your aura is your soul. I think it's a reflection of your soul. I think it's a good viewpoint of that perception. Now your soul, I believe, is actually a center of like a vortex or an orb, if you want to call it that, that's connected to your body, and it actually may be physically right about 2 or 3 feet above your head, and it's actually centered in the pineal gland, I believe, if I remember right, of your body, and of where it's actually.
When I study the pineal gland, I feel like it's your third eyeball. That when we fall asleep, we actually look through our third eyeball while we're asleep. Like our pineal gland, which it's about at the top of your brain stem, and it looks down on like the visual cortex in the back of your brain. And I feel that opens up every night when we fall asleep, and we look through that in our dreams.
And that could still be true, and still be where your soul is seated at. So I hear you.
Yeah,
I've never heard of that.
I'm so used to my soul rushing ahead of me so I can see it. Hallucination.
Right.
I felt like the hallucination is your soul going in front of your two eyes so that you can see it doing things. So that's probably why I go as long as saying that my soul is my aura, because I'm so used to seeing it in front of me, because I felt like it's always wanting to be ahead of me. But the energy from our soul would come from behind us, but mine just comes forward so often that I'm used to it being in front.
Yeah, like an eye does, like how an eye sees. Is that correct? Is that what I hear you saying?
Yeah.
Got it. Interesting.
But I feel like I'm looking behind my eye.
Huh. So I guess that's a lot of research you have ahead of you, waiting for you, Lefty, to prove all that, right?
I have a lot of information that I'm working with. The problem with imaginal psychology, and imaginal psychology states that the soul expresses itself in images, and the problem is that nobody knows how to bridge imaginal psychology with modern day psychology, and I think I have the information to do it. I just got to get more organized, and when I get to that point in my doctorate degree, I'll write my dissertation about why I can bridge it. And inevitably, that will change the way that they look at psychology and the mental patients. And hopefully, we can come on one page with this psychology thing, because psychology is so diversified that everybody's arguing.
Well, exactly. And psychology, to me, is basically the study of the abnormal personality. And so
the abnormal personality comes from our soul.
Exactly. Regardless. And so
I don't really feel how it's abnormal. abnormal. I think it's normal in people that pushed it away. The word psyche is a Greek word that means soul. They changed it decades ago to mean mind. So technically, psychology means soul. But they changed it. So one of the things I'd like to do, I don't know if it's possible, but I'd like to just, instead of calling it psychology, call it soulcology. Because mentally ill, mental problem goes to your soul, then it goes to your body, and then it goes to your mind.
I hear you. Now, there's a couple of books that you might want to consider checking out. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but it's called Soul Psychology. Both of them are called Soul Psychology. Well, one is by Alice Bailey, actually through a saint or a very advanced adept, if you want to call it that, called, I believe his name is Dwal Cool, and also Soul Psychology by Joshua David Stone. And then another person that you might want to study is Helen Blavatsky and Benjamin Creme. Those are all leads.
Can you email me, or can you message me these names later?
Absolutely, I can. If you remind me, I'll do that. But those are I've read the Alice Bailey works. Now, if you know anything about those works, Dwal Cool was an adept that was on the Himalayan mountains, I believe, if I'm correct. And he literally lectured, or if you want to call it that, of Alice Bailey, and she wrote down all this information by Dwal Cool, who gave her the information via telepathy. Now, again, they were never ever in physical presence of each other, and yet all this information was written down by Alice Bailey through telepathy. And there was like several volumes of these books. I don't know, 9, 18, I can't remember, but one of those books is called Esoteric Astrology, Healing, Psychology, Esoteric Psychology 1, or Soul Psychology. No, I think it's called Esoteric Psychology 1 and 2. And then there's several other books, but the stuff that's in there is like out of this world, and it's stuff that's so deep. Even if you were, it's like reading the Bible for a lot of people. It's much more, and it's much more in depth than the Bible, and so it's really profound information. So again, you might want to study that. That might help you with some answers if you're
because I have to find credentials in order to prove myself. So,
exactly.
Thanks.
So anyhow, so now dinosaurs don't need. So you're talking about yourself in the form of a dinosaur, and you don't need mirrors in space. And you're saying because you're focused, your perceptions are being rerouted. You don't even notice your ears or your eyes anymore. You don't notice your physical body anymore. All of a sudden, you're in a whole different experience and perception of who you are and what you're doing and where you're at. Is that what I hear you saying?
It's a way to say that, like, we need to stop worrying about ourselves so much and try to help society.
Okay, good.
Like, there are so many social problems going on in at least this country that I know about, but people don't want to help out the less fortunate. They put them into categories as poor or drug addicts or mentally ill. And we don't worry about that. We worry more about our lives, what material objects we can gain out of life. But the way I look at it, I treat a homeless person the same way I would treat the President of the United States. Most people don't do that. If I could refer Jesus said in the Bible, treat everybody like they're your neighbor. That was the most important message in the Bible. People don't do it. When I go to Walmart, them people are my neighbors. When I go to the park, them people are my neighbors. When I go anywhere, anybody I'm around at any given time is my neighbor, and I'm going to treat them in that manner.
I hear you.
People don't do that.
So now you're really on target and in the right direction, from what I understand, Lefty, in my research and development and sources. So once you get to a level of enlightenment, you start your whole life, and this is what that happens with all the rest of the beings out there that are much more evolved than Jesus or all these other people or beings. So what happens is your whole life is all about service, and literally at some point when you get to the level of enlightenment, what happens is you choose what kind of service you want to do beyond the enlightenment, beyond being a master, into being a saint or avatar or logo or the Godhead or whatever. So your whole life is all about being of service. So and you literally pick what kind of service you want to do. Service to humanity, service to the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, mineral kingdom, the angel kingdom, whatever kingdom, the fairy kingdom, whatever. So literally,
I want to service every kingdom.
You can do that too. But I don't know what all the criteria is for that. But yeah, why not? Why couldn't you do that as well? So so you take steps to develop your skills and talents and abilities to be able to be of service to all the kingdoms. And so that may take several lifetimes. That may take millions of lifetimes. I don't know, but that's how it works in the sense of speaking.
Yeah, like I'm literally trying to change centuries of human belief, and like I don't know, I'm having a hard time.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying about being of service to all the kingdoms. You may not be able to do that in one lifetime. You might have to take little steps. First you start out with being service to humanity, and then service to the animal kingdom, and then service to the mineral kingdom, and then on, and eventually you get to being of service to all the kingdoms. So I don't know what all the criteria is for that, but if that's what your focus is, and that's what you want the end result to be, then you got some work ahead of you. I hate to tell you that.
Well, see, one of my focuses is the Dalai Lama stated that if we taught every 8-year-old child how to properly meditate, we could eliminate violence on this planet in one generation. You know, one of the best ways is go ahead. Refusing to, not everybody, but most people refuse to sit in the corner and meditate. So they're running off on a leash. It keeps getting longer every day and every year and every month. That's right. And they're so far away from their home of the meditative state that it's no wonder you're in such turmoil state in the physiological viewpoint. But nobody cares, and you can't talk to them about this because they don't want to spend the time to at least meditate for a while until they figure out what it is, and then they start behaving in the manner that we do when you want to call us a hippie. Like, okay, at least I don't people badly, and I don't try to go. I mean, I'm always honest, so I don't have to remember anything. Got it. That's to quote Mark. So now what happens is, Lefty, is people start meditating on their own self, their own personality, their own junk, their own debris, whatever you want to call it. And literally they go crazy. They lose everything. They hit the mud. Their face goes into the mud, and when it gets to the point that they can't stand it anymore, then they will ask for help, and that's when it's the best time to help them, because otherwise we shouldn't have to wait for someone to get destroyed before they get spiritual help. Now, on the other hand, Lefty, one of the best ways, especially for kids, to teach them how to meditate is through music. Believe it or not, just have them sit there and listen to certain music, certain types of music that help influence and inspire them as souls. And like how I've always told people how to meditate, like you can stand up and meditate all I care, as long as your eyes are closed. But the way that you reach enlightenment is by breathing through your nose for about an hour without swallowing. Do that. Once that time frame comes up, your mind will clear itself of all thought, and you'll be re-energized. It's just like rebooting a computer. Got it. But I've never heard of it like that. That's just something I learned by practicing meditation over the years. All you have to do is not swallow for an hour while breathing through your nose with your eyes closed. Huh. So, and either way, as long as you're listening to God Goddess, as long as you're hearing, and not just listening, but hearing, then you're in the right direction. And I believe that's as good as it gets. Yeah. So what else about your book that you want to tell us? What else? What kind of stories do you have in there? What is it that what's the main message that you want to tell about your book? The main message is these are what drugs did to my thoughts. I didn't always think about this stuff. I didn't think about just, I don't know, like I'm looking through the book right now. I don't want people to get the wrong idea about drugs. Like, I went to DARE. I graduated DARE. They teach you what it does to body. People in high school cannot understand, I need to take care of my body or I'm going to get sick. They don't know that when they find drugs, it makes their body good temporarily. So they get into using drugs. No one ever tells them, if you start doing mushrooms, you might think differently, you might not like it. So the plan of this book, and you did really well when you said the words were blended into the background. They are. It's in the worst time of life, and that's what I want to do. I want these kids, because I tell you in the book what drugs I was on and what I was taking. And I feel that if I decide to read it on YouTube, like, you'll understand that I changed my thought pattern. So they say that drugs help you spiritually sometimes. I've heard that. If that's true for these people, they're interested in that. They can read my book, get the message of what those drugs do spiritually, but without the brain, without body, and then they come out healthier and more spiritually aware.
So if I hear you correctly, your experiences, I'm assuming, weren't the best in the world as a result of doing drugs. But
drugs. That's why they had. I lived hallucinogens 7 different times. That's why it was so horrible, because I didn't know they were there.
I believe in saying that you could have experienced a lot of paranormal, a lot of the without the use of drugs. Is that what I hear you saying?
That's the point. Like, since we know drugs can cause a lot of problems psychologically, take the spiritual journey, learn about the drug, and then not worry how to do it. But I've also had maybe natural hallucinogens, like I don't think drugs become plants. You just take a plant, eat it or something. Them have some sort of reason for being on the earth. So maybe if we had all those natural plants that they've made illegal in a hospital where you can journey yourself, come out of it with your spirituality lesson, with the safeness, and then you don't have to worry about drinking so much because people don't really get. No, I could go get mushrooms and go to the doctor and go on a spiritual journey, but when people do hallucinogens, there's only so many that you're going to do before you just don't want to do it again. Like, this isn't like methamphetamine where people their whole life, like, twice in their life, they know this, and it's just easier to become addicted to drugs like that. People usually aren't addicted to hallucinogens.
So in my experience, Lefty, the deepest states of nirvana that I've ever experienced were probably just much more fulfilling than any drug that I could have ever taken.
Yes, meditating will more enlightenment than a drug ever will. That's totally fact. Like, there have been times where I've reached enlightenment and I felt like I was on some sort of drug and
right.
My body was good and I was really high, but I hadn't taken a single drop
Exactly.
That is true.
I think maybe that's hallucinogens or drugs, illegal or legal. That's what they want. They want to experience, but they don't want to take. They're lazy. They don't want to take the time to meditate. Right? That's such bullshit. Yeah, they want lazy. They don't take time to really do it right, the right way, and experience meditation. So they go the easy route and they do the illegal drug. So that's so want to be lazy, and you want to experience a false form of God, if you want to call it that, a false form of go for it, see what happens, right?
I think baby.
But you want to do it right. Yeah, do the meditation. There's all kinds of forms of meditation out there.
It is safer. It's easier. It's over meditating.
Yep, that's right.
It is. And see, that's why when I wrote this book, I did a fraction ad. We're trying to explain everything that I'm doing with you right now. I mean, I'm writing my 5th book right now. I've got so many organized things. I can assume I'm not going to name it. People aren't going to listen until after I'm dead.
Well, if you write books for the fame, then you're in the direction. I hate to tell you that, but if you're writing these books to be a guiding light for people, then I think you're in it.
I've had this conversation before. I don't mean like I was famous because in order for me to get a message to the pretty much planet, I need to be famous so people know about it. I don't need the money. I'll do all of this for free. I'm doing my YouTube videos under Chad Reed.
Yeah.
I'll do it all for free. All the information being put on as I find it. I'm not going to even have 31 subscribers, so I'm not going to get money from it. If you can't stop that. I'm not trying to get money. It's just reach the platform. Lefty,
I'm going to tell you this. If you have helped help save one life, even one life, with all of this now, you've done your job. And even that's even better.
To be reached.
Absolutely. And so I've had these shows, what, 7, 8 years now, and I already know. I don't even think about it in my mind that several have been changed. Several lives have been saved. The efforts that I've put. So otherwise, I don't have any of this. And so I know without a shadow of a doubt, several lives have been saved. Several lives have been changed for the better from all my efforts. I don't go to that time is being wasted. I know my efforts are being of service.
Well, see, I do feel inevitably we need to learn how to live on other planets.
Stay
on this planet.
Yep, you're right.
If we don't get our socialization under control, if we don't want to teach people to meditate, this planet is not going to be one way or another. And I'm responsible to this planet because of all my ideas on how to bring meditative state of mind to people without actually having them.
So Lefty, I've met other people that think like you in the same way. And when I've told them, and when I tell you, Lefty, is that don't worry about everybody else. Just take care of Lefty. And if you can be of service and help other people transform their lives into much healthier, that's icing on the cake. And you're absolutely correct. This planet is going to be around for several hundred more years, whether people like it or not. But absolutely right, we're on other planets, living in other planets. And in order for them to be able to handle those atmospheres, those environments, they're going to have to be really up to power. And meditating and praying are two of the most valuable things that you can do to be able to do that. Who knows what other planets? They're not going to last. And that's going to really screw them up.
I had a formula for lesbians that I believe now.
Oh, really?
I had a dream about a formula, so it's on my website, but I wrote it down. I don't know like evil stuff in my business. I don't know anything. All I know is how to do with the speed of smell.
Oh, interesting. So now, Lefty, is there any other stuff you got out there going on that you want to tell us about, or anything else that you want to tell us about that you haven't told us about yet?
Yeah, I'm working on some less argumentative, where's that? Things that are more, because I'm kind of out of the weirdness. Because it was weird for a while. I got really weird. Things got weird. But I'm working on writing my 5th book. It's called Spiritual Psychology Terms and Definitions from the Outside Looking In. I'll just read the first page. I have words I made up that they're not really made up words. They're words I put together, but you'll see as I read.
Okay, go ahead.
It says mirror stuff. Dinosaurs don't need mirrors in space because I can't see my ears and eyes. And then I have a bullet point there. You can't see your ears and eyes if you your reflection. Seriously, I won't hit anything in space if I don't have any mirrors on my spaceship. That's what sensors are for. But I got something else here, a word that situational mental illness is defined as any mental illness that is not caused by improper functioning of gland or gland, but rather the environment that someone lives in and the dimensions of wellness that need attention. So I'm working with that, and I've got about 80 pages or something like that. And I'm done with that part of my book. And then I have 2 or 3 different parts on that. But it's supposed to be something that hopefully be a textbook for a college class.
Got it.
That's one of my plans. So it's normal. It's explained. There's a little bit of spirituality in there that people call weird. And on a side note, I don't know why people think talking about spirituality is weird, but I've had a lot of people attack my character because of it.
I hear you exactly right. So, Lefty, I want to thank you for sharing your expertise on dinosaurs with us. And so, I want to thank you for taking the time to share with us your insights and your vulnerability and your accomplishments, which I think are massive. I think they're very, very huge. People, and a lot of people probably don't understand what it is that you've gone through and where you're at now and what you've accomplished. But I completely understand most or all of it, and so I hear exactly what you're saying. I think you're absolutely in the right direction. And there's still a lot more to on the journey to discover and uncover and learn and go.
We got about 90 seconds left. I want to leave you with one thing, and then I'll let you go.
Go ahead.
The thing that started me talking about my spirituality, I was told by a guy that I met to take the cotton out of my ears and stick it in my mouth. At that point, I had the idea that my yawn was white like cotton.
Okay. And what does that mean, yawn?
Like when you yawn, you can feel your yawn in your ears.
Oh, got
it. Felt like every time I yawned, there was like some cotton in my ears that was like raising up with energy.
Interesting.
That's what started this whole thing of me writing stuff down.
And probably a good idea. So I want to thank everybody. I want to thank you, Lefty, for stopping by. Have a goddess week. Be the love that you are, always have been, and always will be. Aloha.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye. This session is no longer being recorded.
Okay, Lefty, that's a wrap. Were you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with it, but when I start talking about my first book, Dinosaurs Don't Need Mirrors in Space, I find there's a lot of conflicting opinions with it. Because there's so many spiritual entities out there because there's so many material objects. I feel that spirituality was simpler before technology. I feel that it was simpler. There weren't so many arguments over it. And I start saying things and then I'm like, well, I don't know if that's really true. And I feel that there's too many material objects on this earth and that's why there's so many problems.
Right. I think you did a good job. And it's good to talk about it and interview about it because otherwise, if you don't talk about it, especially on a public level like this, then you don't ever really know necessarily what your reflections are, what other people's reflections are concerning your book. And you should do this with every book interview. And the more that you interview, the more that other people will take you seriously and consider you the expert on the book that you've written, because the book is nothing more than a calling card, a business card, to let you know that you're an expert on what you're talking about, on the subject matter that you're talking about. So that it's.
Yeah, I did get to the point of the media says a lot of weird stuff, but they never explain themselves. Something that I'm trying to do, one of the things is at least when I say weird things, I'm trying to explain myself so you're not confused and possibly get mental illness from it, because I feel there's a lot of mentally ill people out there because of all the stuff they're saying in rap music and even the music was weird. And then you got TV that's violent, and they're saying weird things that they think are funny. And it's like everybody says weird stuff, but nobody tries to explain themselves, and nobody seems to care. But yet society has all these mentally ill people, and nobody wonders why.
No, I hear you. And so doing the interviews are important, so that you can fill in gaps where you might have missed with your book, or maybe misunderstandings about your book, or whatever, your perceptions in the book, or whatever. So that allows you to do that when you do the interview. Does that make sense to you?
Oh yeah, it does, and I'm always learning. Like when I say something I may not believe the same exact thing 2 days later. I'll try to find an elaboration. I'm like, oh well, maybe that wasn't explained properly. And I used to run around talking to all of my friends and coworkers about all the spiritual stuff, so I could try to learn about how they understood it. But I'm to the point where unless I'm asked, unless I'm found, I'm not going to go present my spirituality to everybody because people don't talk about that.
That's right. That's what I do. I stopped trying to preach and teach people, and it was spinning wheels. So I'm like, just like you said, I don't go out to reach out to people. I let them reach out to me, and leave it at that. And if they don't, then they don't. It's not going to hurt my feelings. I just leave it at that.
I had a guy a few years ago tell me he was black from the waist down, and then I drew a picture about it and put it on